No one doubts that when seen from the outside, Japan is like a country that stands without gaps. The country has a record of the third largest economy in the world, with a variety of well-known companies, safe cities, a healthy population, a disciplined society, and advanced and automated technology that fills almost every place and space. However, beneath the surface, Japan is actually in a downturn and is struggling to recover from its increasingly deteriorating condition, the main cause of which is related to a mental crisis called Hikikomori, which literally means withdrawal or isolation. The term Hikikomori refers to the phenomenon among Japanese teenagers or young adults who withdraw and isolate themselves from their social life, refusing to leave the house, maintaining distance from society by remaining at home for a period of more than 6 months. Common reasons that many people use for social isolation are pregnancy, job loss, illness, retirement, and bad relationships with other people. Another cause is the academic values of the Japanese education system, which are fostered from childhood and receive criticism if they are not successful, resulting in many Japanese people experiencing stress, not wanting to continue their education, depression, and even suicide. Hikikomori is a serious problem because it is a mental problem in Japan. Almost 1.5 million citizens choose this lifestyle. Some only leave the house to buy food, some even never leave their rooms. According to a survey by the Japanese Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, around 1.2% of the Japanese population has experienced hikikomori and 2.4% of the population aged 20 years had experienced this phenomenon at least once. Generally, the hikikomori phenomenon is dominated by men with ages ranging from 15 to 25 years. But there are also those aged 50 years or more. In fact, recently, there has been a tendency for children to start showing worrying symptoms of hikikomori, because many of those who live this lifestyle are intelligent people and have very good competence. Unfortunately, if many of these intelligent people do not want to blend into society, this will have a big impact on the future of the Japanese economy. More than that, this phenomenon is also seen as one of the factors that can influence the decline in Japan's population, which is currently a national problem. Due to widespread news that the birth rate in Japan has fallen to a record low of below 800,000 births, this condition has become a concern for Japanese officials. Considering this will likely trigger an even more severe population decline in a country where the average age is 49 years. Therefore, in recent years, Japan has tried to encourage its people to have more children, with promises of cash bonuses and better benefits. Unfortunately, according to a survey, Japan is still one of the most expensive places in the world to raise children. Hikikomori, which is endemic in Japan, did not just appear. This phenomenon appeared several decades ago and has become a lifestyle for many Japanese people. It all started on August 15, 1945, when Japan surrendered unconditionally to the Allies, and on September 2, 1945, when Japan agreed to a formal agreement to end the war. Since the end of World War II, Japanese people began to live in peace and began to form a new family economy by marrying. At that time, Japan experienced an increase in the number of births known as the first baby boom, or in Japanese, called Denkai no Shide, which took place from 1947 to 1947. Then from 1971 to 1974, Japan gave birth to a second generation called the second baby boom, or in Japanese known as Denkai Jr. In general, people born in the first baby boom year and the second baby boom year have a very stable life. After going through a coming-of-age ceremony, at the age of 20 they start working, get married, and on average own a house and cars, and likes to be active, traveling abroad. It's just that the birth rate in the first baby boom decreased, namely only 2,696,308 people, and the second baby boom only gave birth to around 2,091,983 people. This figure has decreased because the generation born in the first baby boom succeeded in developing Japan by being busy working to develop their country. So this generation generally only has 2 to 3 children. The phenomenon of decreasing number of births in the second baby boom, compared to the first baby boom, made the Japanese government aware of the threat of a shortage of manpower and human resources around the 1990s. Apart from that, due to the decreasing number of the next generation of Japanese people born from 1947 to 1949, namely around 127 million people, they will retire at the age of 60 to 65 years, namely from 2007 to 2012. Meanwhile, around 116 million people born in 1971 to 1974 will retire in 2031 to 2036. The next generation after Denkai Jr. was called Post-Denkai Jr., who was born around 1975 to 1984. Many Japanese people who were born in that year experienced changes in their outlook on the future and enthusiasm for working in companies. Those who initially had hopes of working in large and well-known companies are getting a good education at well-known universities, such as Tokyo University, Osaka University and Kyoto University ultimately failed because in 1989 Japan experienced an economic crisis. After achieving the highest economic growth in the world, in the 1960s to 1980s, Japan's economy experienced a drastic decline in the early 1990s. Economic uncertainty in Japan has caused many companies in the country to cut ties with their employees, causing people, especially students, to change their views on their future. Where this generation is known as the lost generation, this Japanese generation is experiencing quite serious economic challenges. They are having difficulty getting permanent work with a stable salary, as many young people take part-time jobs with very low wages. They also face major social challenges. One of the biggest problems is social isolation and loneliness. They isolate themselves because they feel they have failed to achieve the stability that previous generations have achieved. Therefore, they isolate themselves from the outside world. Therefore, in the 1980s, the term Hikikomori appeared, which was first popularized by Tamaki Sato. Unfortunately, apart from giving rise to its own term, this phenomenon turned out to be a lifestyle for the next generation, which then became a threat to the survival of the Japanese economy and its population, and this continues to this day.